Good morning and welcome back to Other Worlds Wednesday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Palladium Fantasy role-playing game 2nd edition, Monsters and Animals book. But why? If you've followed my channel for a while, you know that I've had this idea in my head that I want to run a game of Ninjas and Superspies. And the premise is going to be sort of a kind of G.I. Joe sort of theme to it. And as I was reading through the Ninjas and Superspies book, I realized that there were some things missing that I wanted in the game. Now, if you were here last week, we covered the Compendium of Modern Weapons, which has all sorts of firearms and armored vehicles and surveillance equipment and descriptions of ammunition and things like that. And because I wanted to have more of those options available, I wanted people to be able to customize things or be able to use equipment and items that would be more modern day and realistic. And as I was thinking about the kind of game that I would like to run, I also started thinking that it doesn't necessarily have to be a perfectly modern, human-only kind of game. And one of the big problems with Palladium is that there's a lot of good information out there, but a lot of times you're going to overlook it because it's not specifically tagged for the game that you're going to play. Like, if you're going to play Ninjas and Superspies. Okay, well, there's Ninjas and Superspies, and there's also Mystic China, but essentially that's it as far as what's officially part of the game line. Even the Compendium of Modern Firearms, or Modern Weapons, is only like a generic book. It's not tagged for anything. It's even like claimed to be system agnostic. Like, you can run it with any kind of a game. So, when I started thinking about this, I realized that, you know what? The Book of Monsters and Animals for Palladium Fantasy actually has a lot of the information that I want to use. And because Palladium Fantasy is already an SDC system, this actually plays right into it without any problems. So I happened across the book. It's an older copy, has a price tag of $20 on it, which... just so you are aware, the current price is about $28.99. Let's see, because I was stupid and closed the page. Yes, $28.99 is the current price on the Palladium website for this book. Anyways, but when I saw it for $20, I'm like, you know what? Let's pick it up. So it's a little bit older copy. It's got a little bit of shelfware, but let's flip over to the infamously small work table and take a look at it. But before we do, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop gaming content, whether it's role-playing, board games, miniatures, or anything in between. I like to talk about it, and I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. Also, there are going to be links down below to Drive-Thru RPG. I'll also link over to the Palladium site where you can pick up this book if you think it's something that'll help you as well. All right, so this is the Palladium Fantasy Book of Monsters and Animals. Now, as you can see, we have a guy riding a dinosaur and some rather average-looking lions on it. So why do I think this is going to be useful? So, first off, let's look at... Well, first off, it's going to give you a lot of information for Palladium Fantasy. I am playing in a Palladium Fantasy game right now, but we're using a different setting, so there is that. But it does give you a ton of information. And then we've got a quick reference for all of the different monsters, where you can find them in the Palladium Fantasy world. But they also give you instructions on how to adapt the Monsters and Animals to other RPG games, whether it's Heroes Unlimited, Ninjas and Superspies, or Beyond the Supernatural, for those games, these just drop right in. They're all SDC creatures. They even give you instructions on how to convert everything over to a mega damage game like Rifts. But then they just jump into it. So, as always, they've got lots of art. Okay, so we have the Acid Lizard without art. But they do give you a map of where you could find it for Palladium Fantasy. But then we also, get other more interesting creatures. The Adram, the Bearman, the Beast Dragon, the Boogeyman. Just all sort... Actually, this one's great. The Bugbear, which just looks like a giant teddy bear. The canine races, the Wolfen, the Coils, the Cankeran. Now, what's interesting is a lot of these are traditional mythical creatures. Centaurs, chimeras. Mixed in with new stuff. What's this one? The Dragon Dactyl, Dwarvlings, Dragon Wolves, Eandroth, or sort of a reptilian race. So you get all sorts of different creatures, poltergeists, ghosts, haunting entities, possessing entities, the Eye Killer. And I realize you're all probably, because I really haven't explained it, why I would want this for a Ninjas and Superspies game. Well, for that, I mean, genetic experimentation, or, you just want to throw in a monster creature. There were episodes of G.I. Joe where, Cobra literally brought in monsters. They never bothered to explain it. They just ran with it. So why not? I mean, sometimes, if you're telling people that you're just going to be doing a straight up modern human only game, that's fine. And actually, let me adjust that. An Earth realistic game, nothing wrong with that. But especially if you're telling people that you're going to do something like G.I. Joe, it doesn't hurt to throw in some weird stuff like this, because they'll kind of already expect it. So this really does give you just a great selection of monsters and weird creatures that you could use pretty much wherever. So, with that said, that the monsters come in at about, 166 pages of the book. But we're not done yet, because we've still got about another 60 pages of animals. And most of these animals, so first off, it talks about how animals work, predators, prey, that kind of stuff. Where you can find some of these common animals. But the thing is, these are just standard Earth animals. One of the things that I've learned about writing is, if you're writing a fantasy novel and your character needs to go and hunt a rabbit, the reader isn't going to care if you just say it's a rabbit. Just because the Quarthon, a small furry animal with big teeth and giant ears and a small fuzzy tail that hops to move around instead of running or, walking 2 feet at a time, whatever. You just described a rabbit. So just call it a rabbit. You don't have to make it difficult. So there's that. In addition, for a standard Earth game, if you're going to put your players in the desert, if you're going to put them in a jungle, what kind of things can they experience besides just people? And this is just a fantastic collection of all of it. You know, you've got fish and sharks and whales and scorpions and mountain goats and deer and horses and wild pigs, wolves, bears, the big cats, beavers, weasels. Maybe take your weasels into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know. But tons of information. And while they're giving maps for the particular locations in the Palladium Fantasy world, they still put their habitat in. So, like, the masked shrew habitat is moist forest. Okay. Also known as a jungle. Your characters are in the Amazon. They can run into a masked shrew. I don't know why they would, but they can. So, I mean, you know, this book, honestly, I wish it had a different name. Maybe just like the Palladium Book of Monsters and Animals. Make it a completely generic book that maybe you just pick it up because you want to use it for another fantasy game or another modern game. There's a ton of uses for it, and I absolutely recommend it. So, you know, I really can't complain or say much else. It's got a bunch of great art, all in the Palladium black and white style. And to be honest with you, it's great. Go check it out. Links down below. Drive Through RPG is an affiliate link, so it does give a little bit of a cut back to the channel. To Palladium Books, I don't get any kind of a cut, but just tell them that Gaming with ADHD sent you. They're great people, and I know they'd appreciate your support. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, we'll talk to you next time.